Hello, lads and ladies, and welcome back. It's Monday evening, which means the return of Sky Bet League 2 Live. After a quick break last weekend, we are back reviewing English's fourth tier. 10 games over the international break. Sky Bet League 1 was quite frankly halted. The Championship and Premier League put on hold, but the fourth tier was still on show. Tranmere, Fleetwood, and also Walsall's game got postponed this weekend, but we've still got 10 games to go through. Alongside my co-host, Jack Kershaw. Jack, how was your weekend, mate?
Yeah, it was all right and quite, to be honest. I think because we obviously won 1-0 against Bradford, it weren't the best of wins, and I probably wanted to go again and I just tried to put a better performance on because obviously it was a good opportunity at Tranmere, but obviously it's another break, it stops us, but yeah, it was all right. How was yours?
Yeah, it was good. Nice to have a break. I'm a big believer in, I think that sometimes you need to have a break away from the firing line of football. Lots of good games. I kind of went through the results. I kept an eye on everything. Obviously, the last few weeks, we've not been here over League Two, so a lot has changed, and we'll go through that. Tonight's show, we've got 10 games, 5 minutes on each game. We've also got Morecambe fan Hopi in the chat in around about 20 to 25 minutes time to discuss everything about Morecambe at the moment and the protests that happened at the weekend against Port Vale. Port Vale we will come to, who currently they're not on a bad run of form, are they? But, they bounce back, shall we say, as well. So this evening's running order, we are going to start off with one of the best games in the week. I put it down as the best game week so far, Jack, for MK Dons, because that's now 5 wins on the spin under Scott Lindsey. 3 wins in their first 11 matches. A huge turnaround. They scored 14 goals in those 5 games. Scored 3 in the 4 in that time as well. Scored 2 in the other game as well. First time MK Dons have won a game since being 2-0 down, seems to be Lincoln on Boxing Day 2021. Have that, Jake. They have conceded in all 5 games and have scored in every game under Scott Lindsey, but conceded in every game under Scott Lindsey. Now, you're not going to get a side that keep a lot of clean sheets under Scott Lindsey. You're going to get a high press, a high pass percentage, a really good footballing performance, big results, big goal performances, one of the highest goal scorers in the division. Crawley only kept 8 clean sheets last year and 1 promotion. So it does show you if you score goals, you don't have to always be tight defensively as well. One thing that worries me, Jack, about this MK Dons side, if I'm being pedantic and they won 5 out of 5, is the early goals they're conceding early in games. Against Swindon, they conceded in the first minute, and I get they got a good result in the end. Cheltenham, the 6th minute they conceded, and were 2-0 down shy after that. The Grimsby game, they were 16th minute they conceded in as well. What do you put that down to? Do you put it down to maybe just being a little bit, the way they play, the passing style, they need to get into a rhythm and getting onto the ball? Or is it mentality not being switching on? What is it, would you put it down to? It's great they've got the mentality to come back, but we're being pedantic. There's an issue there.
Yeah, but I think they have actually got done, obviously, Swindon, Cheltenham, 2 fast starters. We'll obviously come on to about Swindon later on, but I watched Swindon at the weekend. They started the game against Accrington fast, and then Cheltenham, they went 1-0 up at Carlisle early on, and they've got players, I think, Colchester away. They also went 1-0 up early, so they've got that attacking threat, both sides, to start games early, but yeah, it's just like you say about MK Dons. It's the resilience to actually come back and have belief in themselves, because everyone knows the quality that MK Dons have in the side. Alex Gilby, he hasn't got an assist yet this season. I think he got 14 or 11 last season.
14 last year, 10 goals.
Yeah, he scored 7 goals and he's keeping that goal scoring threat. At times he looks like a second striker. I mean, for his goal, Scott Hogan peeled out wide, and Gilby was on like the halfway line, and just with that bit of movement, he lost a Cheltenham man, and then he got into the box for a good finish, and then it's good to see Ellis Harrison back on the score sheet. 3 goals in, I think, 221 minutes, and Ellis Harrison at this level, he'll easily get double figures if he stays fit for me. And I think also for his goal, he won the flick on, which is an Ellis Harrison sort of trait, winning the flick on. And then and then the partner in crime beside him wins a second ball, and then obviously he gets teed up for it. And I think under Scott Lindsey, I'm not surprised that they have gone 5 wins in a row, because obviously the foundations were set there for a possession-based side. It's not like what Williamson has done, gone to MK Dons and Carlisle. He's had two different sides like playing with. And Scott Lindsey, Crawley, possession-based side, they maintain that when they've gone up to League One. And now he's joined a League Two side who are one of the best windows for their style of play in the summer. And now it's just instantly clicking. He's got two of his ex-players there. Didn't start Liam Kelly, but he came on, and obviously Maguire scored. So I think there's a feel-good factor about MK Dons. I think they're only 1 point off the top three now, or 2 points.
Yeah.
So it's incredible how they've made them points up already to being with the mix. And it's just if they can keep their run going and just hope that obviously Vale stop theirs.
I think it's massive that Kelly and Lawrence Maguire are in the football club who got promoted with Scott Lindsey. So they know him, they trust him, and they know what he's going to do. And when he comes in, he can reassure the other big players in there, the Gilbys, the Ellis Harrisons, the Tomlinsons, those types of players and more as well, that he's a good guy. You can get behind him. I mean, if you play for him, you'll get results. And 5 wins on the spin, if you do that in any walk of life, you're in a good position. Even if MK Dons drew their next 5 games and went unbeaten in 10, they're still at 2 points per game and still on a good rhythm. And they kind of needed this to get back on track. And we're looking at League Two this year, and I'm looking how so open it is. And Chesterfield, who a lot of people rave about, and I put them mid-table. I kind of put them in that kind of middle bracket because I thought they'd be good 1 week and bad the next. They're not that far away from the playoffs. MK Dons just needed a run to just kind of get in talks with the Port Vales that have been consistent. Let us know what you think down below in the chat as well. Get your questions in. It's going to be a bit more of a chatty like kind of evening with the chat. So if you could get your questions in, that'd be greatly appreciated. Also like the stream as well. Now, I've just gone back and watched, Barrow, but I want to, before I talk about Barrow's collapse of conceding goals, Cheltenham again, great start, scoring from 2 set pieces, pretty much a short corner. I don't do them normally, but fair play. Pull that to the other side of the box, shot, takes a massive deflection, goes in, and Miller again from a free kick, I think it is, scores, and it's 2-0. And there's been a real good feel factor. Been getting some good results. That one away at Colchester, a couple of decent points at home. The one against Bradford was a good point as well. They've been improving of late and getting some good results, especially on the road as well. And they've needed that. And you think at 2-0, you're thinking, maybe the fortunes are slowly turning a little bit to go and concede 3 goals, and I don't care. So MK Dons is poor. Josh was fuming, after the game. He says bottle jobs, and all of a sudden they're being labelled as stuff again, and rather than being labelled for what they've been good at the last 4.5 games, really. So they've got to be better in key moments, and that's what League Two is. It's key moments, and I'll talk about Barrow in key moments. The other day they played Wimbledon at home and lost 3-1. Now, Barrow started the season really well. The first 10, they won 6. Lost 3, granted, drew 1. That's still 19 points. The draw, they should have won that, Swindon at home with, Feely going in goal. So, realistically, they were pretty much at 2 points a game, just under. Really good, consistent. They were winning games tightly. I think they won away at Harrogate. They beat Crewe at home 1-0. Winning games 2-0 at home, keeping clean sheets. Now, yes, they're playing Wimbledon, who is only the second away win of the season, won away at Cheltenham 1-0. And the last 4 wins for Wimbledon have actually been by the scorelines of 3. I think they've scored 3-0 against MK Dons, 4-0 against Carlisle, 3-1 against Barrow, and there was a 3-0 in there against Morecambe at home as well. So they do score goals when they win games. And Matt Stevens has now scored 16 and 41 League One games as well, where he scored 23 and 37 a few years ago for Forest Green in the promotion season. But going back to it, I had a look back at key moments in games. Now, they've not won in 6, right? They've drawn 3 of those 1-1. Away at Bromley, they conceded in the 91st minute, being 1-0 up. Notts County at home, they were 1-0 up. They conceded in the 93rd minute. David McGoldrick scored a penalty. Colchester, 90+2. I think it's Lyle Taylor. Colchester, good in key moments. A lot of late goals for them of late as well. We're talking about as well. I think Port Vale, Barrow, and then the one against Bradford. Key moments in games, not seeing out. And if you remember Gillingham last year, Jack, they won a lot of games 1-0 at the start. They won the first 4 1-0. That slowly turns. And you look at Gillingham this season, it slowly turns. And I'm not a believer that these 1-0 wins and these 2-1 wins, these slender wins, can go on for a full 46 games when you're a mid-table side overachieving, I think, as well. And maybe they've been found out because the football has been a bit drab. What did you make of Barrow this week? Because the second goal is absolutely comical. Like all 3 goals, was it Canavan headed it back to Piggott scores. Even the Dallas goal, it's poor defending from Wimbledon. The second goal, the cut open. I think it's Jackson that's out of position, and again, it's really poor. Really bad day at the office for Barrow. What's changed? Do you think it's they're just maybe being cut open and being maybe no plan B?
Yeah, well, I said a few weeks ago, they don't have that sort of 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, like at their best that they can pull them through. Like, if Notts County aren't at the best, you got Dan Crowley, they got Jody Jones. I know we're talking about one of the biggest sides in League Two compared to Barrow, but there are sides like Gillingham, they could bring on Bradley Dack, obviously when he's available. And if he comes on, he'll easily be one of the best players in League Two. And sort of Barrow don't have that main figure. I think they have a lot of maybe 5, 6 out of 10s in that squad. And obviously when, momentum's down, it also brings the squad down itself. They got battered 5-0 at Chelsea. It's nothing to be ashamed of because obviously they're a League Two side, but it's sort of spiraled from there, really. And they've got 1 win in the last 9. Some Barrow fans want Clements out, and they're questioning why Pete Wild was let go at the start of the season, which I thought was interesting to say the least, that they let Wild go. But then they brought in Clements. I thought, right at the start of the season, he's doing better than what I thought he'd do, because obviously it weren't great at Gillingham last season, but it's all about being sustainable. We saw at the start of the season it was more Barrow, Walsall and Gillingham at the top. And I think out of all of them, you probably think Walsall would be the most sustainable, which they have, and maybe Barrow wouldn't be because Gillingham and Barrow are more being the hard team to beat, really defensively resolute, but not creating too much. But then Walsall have that firepower up top, which I don't think both of them sides have had in their games. And yeah, like you say, it's just key moments and obviously defensive mistakes that have let Barrow down. But take nothing away from Wimbledon, Piggott and Stevens, who've been the front 2 when Bugles. I think Lebanon, he's out on international duty, and Piggott, he was the best player for Wimbledon when we went there in August. I thought he was great in both boxes, battled well. He's even great in link-up play for a over 6 foot striker. He's got really good footwork, and I think so on the extended highlights, his passing range. He's got a pass from the left wing spot all the way over to the right wing to Newfield, and then Matt Stevens, he's done it at Forest Green before. It's just about feeding him and getting him service. He's an energetic forward, and when you have an energetic forward who'll go in behind, and you've got Piggott or Bugle who can hold it up and create, you've got a great partnership there.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Chris. It is great to be back. Last weekend there was a last-minute trip to the snooker that I got surprised with. So that's maybe why I wasn't here last week, but it's great to be back. And if you could like the stream and also subscribe as well. Lots of content now coming between now and Christmas. I think, 37 days away? I think we've streamed like 22 pieces in 37 days. So much coming. So if you could give us a like, could give us a subscription, that'd be greatly appreciated. Wimbledon, as you say, fantastic. And they are outside the playoffs, but they've won 7 of the 13 games. You put them on PPG, they're around about 4th to 5th. And the table will take shape very, very soon. So, Crewe, Notts County. Big game this, and Crewe actually play Port Vale next weekend. And as a counter for that, next Monday, we are going to go live an hour early. Jack Kershaw had his annual good idea of the year and said, "Oh, let's go live at 7 o'clock so we can both watch it."
Daily.
Yeah, that's very debatable. I've seen your fancy selections, mate. Yeah, there's some shockers in there as well. Crewe has won as many games. Scott, Crewe have won as many of. Crewe have won 5 of the last 8 home games. Again, the most since the 2007 8 season, so which is an unbelievable run, 5 in a row. Again, 5 of the last 6 home games, with a draw. That Swindon game where they drew. The game before they got beat 5-0. Do you remember how I said that game against Swindon where they got beat 4-0 was massive for them? They didn't concede, and they've been gone on a really good run. And look, they have played the Morecambe, they have played Harrogate, but they played sides they should be beaten, and they have. Notts County is a different category altogether as well. It's an unbelievable result. Crewe unbeaten in the last 7 home games again now, winning 5 of those, drawing 2. They've only conceded 2 goals in that run, which is unbelievable. And, they were poor at home before that, weren't they? They were conceding goals after goals. The first couple of games, they were poor. And look, they've lost 1 in 13, this season. They lost the first 2 and lost, I think, was it away at Newport they lost? I think it was. Was it 3-1? I think they lost earlier this season as well. And, to win 8 of those and draw 4, instead of winning maybe 6 and drawing 6, they're getting the more wins on a regular basis, which is always important. I want to draw your attention to this as well. I thought it was quite interesting. It's a basic stat. Notts County have lost 3 games this year. They've lost to Port Vale, who are currently first in the division. They've lost to Crewe, who are currently second in the division. The other game they lost to are Gillingham, who are 9th. But when they played Gills, I believe, were top of the table. So they have lost. Look, it's not bad, but then you could say, why aren't they beating sides that, they're battling with? And they are managing to get past sides they should be doing on a regular basis, pretty much. Accringtons, Grimsby's, those sides, Harrogate's. Slender wins at times. The Grimsby one was a good result, 4-1 at the time. Crewe, they're building up some momentum. I thought player of the match, though, was Chris Long. How long did he last on that? Was it 40-odd seconds?
Something like that. I think so. Tweet that. If he's not injured, he's suspended.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Talk me through it, because it was a great game and a great encounter for this division.
Yeah, Lee Bell said in his post-match interview, we asked them to play with energy and be aggressive, and I don't think they could have done much more. And when I was watching the extended highlights, the first little clip that they showed, Notts County were in build-up. And then, even though Notts County had the, I think, +2 advantage because he had the back 3 and the double pivot in midfield, but also they had the goalkeeper joining up in build-up, so they had sort of a 4-2 shape, and Crewe only had their 2 forwards, Bogle and Tracy, and then they had their double pivot, sort of 2 midfielders going on Notts County's double pivot, and they were brave in what they did because they caused a high turnover, and then they obviously they forced it into the double pivot and blocked off their Notts County's wide centre half, which Bordeaux and Macari, both of them are really the main source from Notts County getting from the defence to the midfield, because Matty Platt isn't as comfortable on the ball as obviously them two, and they can create chances. So that matched up with what he said in his interview. And Crewe, they're just a defensively resolute side, and even though they're obviously still a young squad, he added vital experience with Omar Bogle, who's now come back in the side. He scored. He won a questionable penalty, though, to say the least. It ain't. And then they added Kane Hemmings, who's also an experienced face. He's out injured, I think, but he's still someone to be around the dressing room when he's back. Mickey Dimitriou captain with his young backline. So I think what they've done there is obviously got the experience, but it's key because last season in the playoffs, it would have hurt him losing in the final. And over the summer, if you get more young lads, and it could deflate them, but then they want experienced faces to really go again and who know this division. I think I had Crewe around about mid-table, but they really surprised me, and they've got Charlotte Tracy.
Playoff defeat.
Yeah, definitely. And Charlotte Tracy's just absolutely bossing it. I didn't expect him to lead the line for Crewe, to be honest, but He's just making himself a nuisance, going in behind, stretching opposition's defensive line out, and he's just a threat to any opposition. And I think if you close Shiloh Tracy down, you still don't stop Crewe because you've still got Cooney on the right wing back, 7 goal contributions, Conway on the other side. They're a threat from set pieces with Dimitri and the other lads in centre half who can get on the end of it. So I don't think much can stop Crewe because they don't have sort of a star player. They have a lot of very good players. Because even when Dimitri didn't play against us, they still battled out and got a clean sheet with an average squad age of like 21.7. Yeah. So, it's good stuff from Crewe, and I can't see them dropping off, to be honest. They'll be very, very good encounter, though, against Port Vale. Massive test. Crewe,
I agree with that. They don't have a star player, and it's a bit like CJ for Fleetwood when Carl Johnson, where he's like 7 out of 10 with a lot of things that he's good in departments, but there's not really a weakness there with CJ, but there's not really a main. You think, what's he really good at? And you think, he's at this. A bit like Jay, when you ask him a question on football, he's like, well, okay here. Might be a bit patchy in this area, but there's a bit of strength there. Moving on to the next game, and we will talk about the game in detail. I thought it was important this week that football is important for a lot of people at different football clubs. Ownership. Now, over the years, we've seen Macclesfield, we've seen Bury, we've seen Blackpool, we've seen various football clubs have ownership issues, and Reading are going through it at the minute. Morecambe, they aren't really getting the attention because they're Morecambe, and it's as simple as that. And we're going to bring on Hopey now. Hopey that I did meet a few weeks ago. Before that, 2-2 draw. I think you said it was going to be 4-3. You weren't far off, to be fair, mate, to be fair. There was a protest the other day. Talk to me. Why was that the case? What has been happening at Morecambe Football Club over the last 2 years? Obviously, people will look at it and going, Morecambe in League 2. You've been there for a long time. But it's been a long-term issue at Morecambe, ownership issues over the last 5, even 10 years.
Yeah, mate, it's been massive, really. There was a protest the other day, and we had one earlier this year in March at the Wrexham game. The ownership and just hasn't changed in the last 2 years. The club's been up for sale for over 18 months. Jason Whittingham of Bond Group just hasn't really. We haven't really moved. Nothing's really changed. Budgets are as low as they can be. Obviously, it's not a secret. It's been out there that last year we had the highest budget that we've had in League 2, and it was still one of the bottom ones. It's just very deflating. Players can't stick around because we haven't really got enough to afford them. They get better and better, and they get more expensive. We can't afford them. We have to let them go. We have to get the next lot in, and I think it's been a big cycle, and we are where we are now because of the issues that we've got on and off pitch. And everything really stems from that owner.
I'll ask a question and I'll let Jack come in. What has been kind of the plan? Obviously, the club have been up for sale, and there's been interest. And recently, there was a statement put out saying that the club have been showing a lot of interest, and it's close to a sale as there has been. Has there been anything on that? As the kind of why is it broke down? Is there anything going forward that you believe you're going to get that sale? And what if you don't get the sale? What could happen?
If I'm completely honest, the fans know pretty much next to nothing. We don't know who this potential owner is. Only the board and Jason know who that is. We just have to hope that the sale can get put through. But this sale to the new people who are involved, that's been going on for a couple of months now. And if they haven't submitted the right details to the EFL, or they can't do it, then they need to move aside and let the next person who's capable of actually owning a football club come in. So we're waiting for things to move. They haven't moved, so obviously someone's not doing what they're supposed to do to move this potential sale on. So something has to give. Someone has to pull out, or they have to provide the documents.
Go on, Jack. You if you had to add your 50p, what would your thoughts be?
Well, I'm guessing that there couldn't have been a better appointment this season than Derek Adams, really, because obviously you've got the off the field scenario. But I think if an external manager who came into the club and had, who had known nothing about it, I don't think you'd even get many points at Derek Adams done. I mean, the second half points against Fleetwood, he must have given a good, telling off in the dressing room. You came out fighting in the second half, and I think for me that's really important, getting Adams back, because of the grit and determination he can drill into these players, try to block out the noise from the off the pitch situation and do your job on the pitch.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Derek Adams, he's probably one of the most level-headed managers in English football. He knows what he has to do. He goes out there, he tries to get the lads to do it. Sometimes it's individual errors that cost us the goals. Like we had a couple of games early on in the season where we had accidental goalkeeping errors. Stu Moore making unfortunate errors that could have been avoided, but obviously they weren't. So we are where we are just because of some inexperience in the league. Because we've got some players who are mainly non-league players, so maybe they're not really up to scratch as of yet, and they will build into it during the season. But it's down to that inexperience and individual errors. But we've had some great games, though. We have had a couple of great games, like Barrow away, where we beat them 1-0, but it was still a great game. And Harrogate away recently, that was brilliant. The 2-1 win, last minute winner, absolute screamer. Yeah, it was great. But I'm just hoping we can get more of those moments and more wins on the board, because we do need to start picking up points now, because it's getting to that crucial time of Christmas where teams are really make or break, and we'll know by Christmas whether we stay up or not, and I think the lads know that as well.
That home form's got to change, hasn't it? That's now 11 without a win, your longest period in the Football League without a win at the Mazuma. And that's what Morecambe have been built on over the years, being strong at home. And the away wins have been good against Harrogate and then against Barrow. And, they are typical Derek Adams performances where you can nick a goal and, come back and win by the odd goal. Do you think you've got enough in you to stay up, and that home form has got to change if you are going to stay in the division?
Yeah, I do think things will change. If we do get a bit of a cup run and get a bit of money behind us, Derek can bring in some people during the January transfer window, because we know Marcus Stackers will be going back to Salford in the January transfer window, and hopefully we can get another striker on loan, because as much as I like Callum Hope, I don't think he can do it on his own. I think he needs someone with experience. Maybe like I'm shooting in the dark here, but people have been saying about it. Cole Stockton, potentially. He's not getting games at Salford. We're working with Salford with Dackers. Maybe a loan of Cole Stockton till the end of the season. That could do us a bit of good. He's been at Morecambe before. He knows what to do. He knows all about the club, and he can come in and do it. But we do need that home form to change. But that has always been the same under Derek Adams. The home form has always struggled. And then it flipped last year when we got Jeb Brannan in, because he wasn't very good away, and his home form were absolutely outstanding. But then we've gone back to Derek Adams, where we've got away form, which has been middling, but with some spells of good stuff, and the home form, which again has struggled. But that's just sort of how things are going to Derek. You can't write it.
If you had one question, Jack, one last question about Morecambe, what would it be? Because there's a lot of interesting stuff going on, and hopefully they'll get the ownership sorted. But on the pitch, they are fighting, and you see clubs like Reading, and they can aspire to be like that. What kind of would you be your message / a question be?
Well, I was actually going to ask, who do you think your best player has been so far this season? Just on the pitch. For me, the standout, I think, has been Adam Lewis and Ben Tollett. Would you agree? And Marcus Dackers, I think, has surprised me too, because Salford fans didn't rate him, but I think from what I heard from Salford fans, I think he's dealt fairly well. Would you say Lewis, Tollett and Dackers being the main three, maybe?
Yeah, I'd say they're definitely the main three. I'd also chuck Rhys Williams in there. I'd chuck his name in the hat, because he's been pretty good. He's got a couple of goals in the bag, and he's played really well. I'd definitely say those four, but I think the standout by far is definitely Adam Lewis. In my opinion, he's a League One player, and I would be quite worried that clubs with more money could be looking at him in January. And that is not a player you want to lose, because if we lose him or Tollett in the January transfer window, we're in trouble. We are really, really in trouble. But we just need to keep as many players as we can. I know we've got some loans going back in January. Like I say, it would be nice to get like a Cole Stockton in or an experienced striker for when Dackers does go back. But I'm hoping when Dackers does go back, I hope he plays in that Salford squad, because he is a cracker of a lad and he definitely deserves some time.
Yeah. One final one from me. Do Morecambe stay up?
In my opinion, yeah. We always fight. We always do it. You just have to look at the year where we very, very nearly went down, 17-18 under Jim Bentley. Coventry away. One of the best, other than Wembley, one of the best days probably as a Morecambe fan that I've had. Just the elation, the pure elation when we stayed up. I think it'll be down to the wire again. I'm gonna say it's gonna be down to the last few games. But I think Derek Adams has got the passion. The lads have got the passion. I do think we stay up. And if I'm honest, I think it all comes down to how we do in January, what we do, what business we make or don't make, and whether we can get this sale over the line.
It'd be interesting to see who you think you're going to finish above. Who do you think the two are? Because obviously I was going to ask Jack this late in the show, which I'll wait to see what he said. I'll give him some time to chew on that. Who do you think you finish above? Because it's getting tight down there, and we are starting to group the table, aren't we?
We are. It's a very weird one because Carlisle are currently one place above us. But the problem is there, Carlisle have these new owners. They're going to want to spend some money. It's going to go one of two ways. Either they're going to spend in January, and it's just going to cause them to skyrocket up that table, probably a mid-table finish. If they saw their mess out, I can see them finishing mid-table. And that leaves us in a pretty worrying situation. I'm not quite sure currently who the bottom teams are. I'm fairly sure Swindon are down there at the minute, aren't they?
Yeah, it's Morecambe on 10, Carlisle on 12, Swindon 13, Colchester 14, Bromley, Tranmere, Accrington, Harrogate, and you group up.
I'm going to say, I think it's going to be Colchester and Bromley, because I think Carlisle will probably spend and shoot up. And I can honestly see Swindon under Ian Holloway pulling away as well. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a very, very interesting next half of the season, really, in my opinion.
Hopey, thank you for joining me. Go and subscribe to his channel. I'll leave a link down below. And keep fighting against your ownership, and hopefully you can get sorted.
Thank you, mate. Thank you very much for having me, Ben.
Nice
to see you, Jack.
Yeah, you too. See ya.
It's not nice. It's not nice to see you, Jack, believe me. So there was Hopey. We will talk about Port Vale Football Club in a minute. Another win, 10th win of the season for them as well. They've only just lost one in the last 12, winning 9 of which, slowly turning things around after a bad season this year. Prior to this, they only won 1 in 10 away games against Morecambe, losing 5 of which was so a great result for them. And also, the last 5 meetings between these sides have been 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0. Port Vale winning 3 of which. Great result, another big result. And top of the table, Port Vale. And again, their most victories after 15 games since the 1953-54 season, when Jake turned an 18-year-old boy that year.
I wonder how you get all these stats, from way back. Do you have an app?
Wow, yeah, just have a stat pack, yeah. I'm just human stat pack, mate.
For Port Vale, I mean, even though they're 9th to the home form, they're still only 3 points off, being top. So you can't even discredit them for that, really, because obviously they're top of the away form. And I thought maybe they keep more clean sheets under Darren Moore. I think, they have actually had 7 clean sheets so far, and they're the joint top. But
Yeah,
16
you thought you'd have
matches.
more. They only keep one every 2 games, top of the table, with 10 games. You can be better, Port Vale. Come on now.
I thought, like, because they played against sides like, Barrow, who obviously are now struggling for goals, but at the time they got tubbed 4-0. I thought they could have done better there. Newport away, they conceded, and Colchester, they've not been really getting some attacking momentum. I know that they scored in most of the games, but I don't think there's much there going forward for them as of yet, because when they have the ball, they're not as purposeful. But yeah, that's just me nitpicking, really, for Vale, because I can't really find a weakness in the side, because they've got players coming off from the bench who can make an impact in the game. They can, have late winners. They've got good players like Hall and Hennigan at the back, who can clear the ball and have really good box defending when it matters.
So good, so good, Hennigan, box defending. Like, I think last year, sorry to interrupt, every time, Port Vale fans, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know what he's been like. I know he was superb against Morecambe from the little bits I watched by and hearing it. Every time the ball came into the box, header away, Hennigan again with a header away, Hennigan again with a ball. It wasn't the other defender. It wasn't a Wiwidu. It wasn't an Elijah Campbell. It was Hennigan every time putting his body on. And people didn't like him because he played for Blackpool and he was old and he wasn't great in the mobile. But in a back line, when you're not going to, go on the halfway line, Hennigan's perfect. Sometimes against sides with a bit of pace, you might have to take him out. And if you want to put on the halfway line, he's not ideal for that. But he's so good at that. And I think they are the best team in the league by a margin over Port Vale. I just think that, over MK Dons. But I think Hennigan was an unbelievable signing.
Yeah, definitely. And he only played 13 games on Darren Moore before, but he still got that relationship with him, and he brings vital experience. And I don't quite know how Fleetwood fans didn't really get how good Hennigan was, just because he's, slow and he can't turn the same as a modern day centre-half who can't even do the basics at the back. People don't rate him. They want the sort of fast players, but when it comes down to the nitty-gritty defenders, they shy away from it. And it's people like Hennigan who go unnoticed and stand out. But it's clear to see that Port Vale fans rate Hennigan, and I'm happy for him because he'll be a leader at the back. Vale won't play a high line at times, but he can step up and be aggressive, and it's good to see for him.
We are currently 192 subscribers away from 17,000 subscribers. It's been a quiet few weeks, but a busy few weeks coming now. So if you could subscribe, it's free to do so. Just press subscribe. And also, we're at 24 likes. Let's see if we can get to... We'll go for 40. There's 36 people in. So if you've not liked, you've not subscribed, it's free to do so. And it really does go a long way to supporting the channel. So if you could do that, that'd be greatly appreciated. A big thank you for Hopi for coming on there as well. Always good to have someone that actually knows what they're talking about as a co-host. So it's very rare that I get that on my League One or my League Two shows.
You can go on Facebook Marketplace, and then me and Jake will just start a new League One and League Two live.
Yeah, to be fair, I'd probably watch that. It'd be quite good, that, wouldn't it? You could just talk about Harrogate and Bull here. Harrogate, right? We talk about Notts County before their defeats. The home wins have come against Doncaster, who are third, Bradford, who are 8th, Chesterfield, who are 11th, and Newport, who are 15th. Bear in mind, Chesterfield have been a lot better than 11th at times this year. Just too many draws. Bradford, big bad Bradford, but been poor in key moments again. And then Doncaster, top 3. So good results for them. Toby Sims with his second goal. Obviously, he's not scored the win against Newport County at home a couple of months ago as well. Chesterfield have lost the last 2 matches, but were unbeaten in 8 before this. Chesterfield's second most goals, 8th in expected goals, and 8th in expected goals conceded, lowest. But just aren't turning up in regular enough. And like I said to you at the start of the year, I think they're going to be that side that go and get 65 points this year, 10 off the playoffs, maybe comfortably inside the top 12, but don't really go and threaten. It would be a good season after being back in the Football League for 7 years, but there's a chance for them to go and, attack League Two this year.
Yeah, well, I speak to a Chesterfield fan regularly, and he always says about the defence, how it's poor, the missing Shade Dunkley. I think I saw a sort of Chesterfield journalist. He said that apparently, I think Dunkley had a scan or something. They were expecting it to be all good, but it weren't. And, missing Dunkley at the back, it's denting Chesterfield. Tom Naylor's not a bad player at centre half. He's more than capable of playing there. Then you've got, 33-year-old Jamie Grimes, who hasn't really played in the Football League in his career. I think he only had one spell at Cheltenham, or that might have even been in the National League. I'm not quite sure. And, Tanton, I don't really know much about him. He's on loan from Fulham. He hasn't had any EFL experience. I think Lewis Gordon's a good signing for this level, but then also you've got Ryan Boot. He can also make a mistake at the back. And Paul Cook sums it up brilliantly. I can't see us keeping a clean sheet. Chesterfield are so good going forward. They can have really good individual quality. Berry coming off the bench and scoring a magnificent goal. But then it's at the back. It's at the back where they're just really, really poor. And that's obviously what's letting them down. And obviously, when they've conceded 3 against Accrington, that's when you need your forward line to go and outscore them, which on another day, Chesterfield probably would have done. But obviously, they didn't against Accrington. And they've had a few referee decisions go against them. Paul Cook said that he's going to stop moaning now because nothing's going to happen about it. But it does seem like they are being a bit hard done by. And Paul Cook also credited Harrogate in the same words that I describe them, hard-working, energetic side, which Harrogate are. And, like you mentioned, that they turn up against the big sides, also Wrexham in the Cup when they beat them on ITV. Yeah. They beat the Hollywood boys, and the show was going to be a... Go on.
Hollywood boys. Ugh.
Well, they are, aren't they? Anyway.
Oh, as bad as Jake saying sway last week. Oh.
Sway?
Oh, yeah. Don't get me started. He was singing a song about making him sway or something. Didn't understand.
But, so yeah, when, the TV cameras are coming for the opposition, to seem like Doncaster, they were on Sky, and Wrexham on ITV, Harrogate putting up a show, and people had Harrogate in the bottom 2, and obviously it is a bit risky with a father-son ownership management, but Simon Weaver's yet again shown his quality and how he can get this side to perform, but it's just against, the sides that they should be beating, they're not. But Harrogate, the 16th, 17th, and they're really where you expect Harrogate, to be honest, just doing their own thing, being really tough to break down, and if they beat the sides near them, they could be on track for another mid-table finish.
5 games in, 5 draws to go through. We'll wrap through these now. Accrington Stanley 2, Swindon 2, a game of mixed emotions. Swindon took another lead in the first kind of 15 minutes. Harry Smith's getting that one. Aki scored 2 goals in kind of the next 15-minute period, and an individual piece of beauty from Dan Butterworth rescued a point. A great goal. Billy Crellin all over the place for the goal, I will say that. Accrington have actually been a lot better of late when you look at the results. The 0-0 over Walsall, the 1-0 against Barrow, the 2-1 result over Gillingham, obviously beating Russell Olympic in the FA Cup and beating Chesterfield away, going into that Wimbledon, Bradford, and Grimsby games, full of confidence as well. My favourite thing has been Ian Holloway over the last few weeks. I've watched, I'd say, pretty much every Ian Holloway interview since he's gone back in. There's been some good quotes so far about the training ground being cursed. He's going to get his wife to come in. Oh, that was quite unique. About him that the team not winning enough headers. He never come up against a 3-4-2-1 before, which surprised me with a guy that's been in football for 1,000 games. And he is box office, and he's not tactically astute like other managers might be, but he's all on the motivation, and he knows how to set a side up. He knows, the basics of football, but you want to listen to him. He's not a dull. They've gone from a dull bloke to a real character, and a real lovable character. And if he can get that side, he's had 5 games, he won 2 cup games, drawn 2 games, and lost to MK Dons. I don't think it's a bad start, but they've got to start winning games of football. Look, the next 2 games are massive for them. That Morecambe and that Colchester game going into the Fleetwood, Bradford and Grimsby game. That Grimsby game, he's going to get a nice, warm welcome from the away end, I'm imagining as well. But a big game. So he's got to realistically try and get 4 points out of the next 2. And then you can maybe build up the table. But a good point for Swindon away from home.
Yeah, because honestly, if Accrington properly put their chances away, Swindon would have been 5-1 down at half time. Accrington were really, really good. Like every time Accrington got the ball, they were straight on the front foot. The diagonal passes inside from Donald Love on the right hand side, and just feeding it into the front 3. Tyler Walton came from Southport. We didn't know what to expect from him. I've rated him, to be honest. Josh Wood seems an energetic forward. Dara Costello, who didn't work out at Burnley, they loaned him out, didn't work out at Bradford, and now he's settled in nicely to Accrington. And they've always been, when I've seen them anyway, always going on the front foot, creating a lot of chances. And this is without Sean Wally and all getting a point against Swindon, which he should have got all 3. And they've even turned, I think, well defensively, to be honest. Obviously, the goal they conceded for Harry Smith, Billy Krellin, doesn't come out quick enough. He don't make himself big and strong, but he's coming up against a 6'4" target man. He's probably the best target man in the league. And then, obviously, Butterworth sits down about 3 Accrington defenders. They should switch on more there. And I think the Swindon players were calling him Swindon Messi, something like that, Dan Butterworth. I definitely wouldn't have called him the Fleetwood Messi when he was at Fleetwood, but yeah, it was a great goal from Butterworth, and it's a good point from Swindon. Yeah, I think there's too many names I could describe Dan Butterworth. But anyway, it's unfortunate he didn't...
Butterworth for Fleetwood, I would describe you.
Pardon?
I describe Butterworth how I would describe you.
Butterworth must have been the best player we've ever had. So, I'll take that as a compliment. But Holloway also said that he hasn't had time to even implement any tactics yet. So obviously that's going to hurt Swindon in the short term. But when he just brushes over everything and gets himself more settled in, I mean, I'm sure Holloway, it won't take him long to settle in with his character. But, just to get the tactics right, I'm sure that Swindon will come to, because they have got a good squad. Kilkenny, Will Wright, Ollie Clark. Obviously, he said that training ground's cursed because he's injured, but when he's fit, he won promotion with Mansfield last season. They've got a good squad, and they went 1-0 up, but it was just that they looked so deflated, and that's why Accrington were as good as they were, because every time they got the ball, they went forward, and they knew that Swindon weren't putting up much of a fight, and just they had that individual quality from Butterworth, and a points to point is something to stem from and go again next week, try and get 3 points, because that's what Holloway wants. He thinks that the FA Cup's 3 points, but it doesn't feel like 3 points, because obviously it's not in the league.
Especially when you're struggling at the bottom. If you're mid-table and, you're in about, obviously, it's early in the season, I totally get you. A massive thank you to our good friend Chris, who has donated 5 COD Vlogs memberships. Now, we do run a membership scheme on this channel, which you can get your hands on, for extra content as well. That, we're producing a lot over there. We did a video last week, and we've got actually 2 membership videos this week coming as well, where we actually ranked all away days and stadiums in the Football League, and I've actually recorded a League One stadium ranking video today. So if you fancy going watching that, join as a member. Rich L, Benbow Sports, Sid Empire Palpatine, Azam Dar, and Adam Oster, who is a Reading fan as well. Adam's a good lad. I've all been gifted memberships as well, so you can access videos. Chris, thank you as always, mate. Your kindness really goes a long way and helps supporting the channel as well. Holloway was a disaster at Grimsby. Yeah, it started off well, but then brought bad players in, and Luckily, Grimsby survived all that as well. We'll try and get the next 3 games done as quickly as we can. Colchester 1, Bradford 1, a typical Andy Cook goal as Andy Cook scores again on the half turn into the far corner. Before Colchester, another late goal. Late goals at Port Vale, late goals against Barrow, and another goal here. The late show. Too many 1-1 draws. What are you making of Colchester this year? Because as much as it's a Sam Walker mistake, they're not kicking on enough, and they're not losing a lot of games, but they're not winning enough games. They've won 2 in 15. That's sackable, but they've only lost 5. So they've drawn 8. You turn 3 of those draws into wins. All of a sudden, you sat on 20 points, and you sat with Newport, in a decent category. But 2 wins in 15, been involved in 40 goals in those 15. It's not great, is it?
No, I think a large proportion of Cowley's games at Colchester has actually been draws. I think that was his 18th, and he only joined in January last season. So, he's had 40 games in charge, 18 draws. So nearly 50% of his games have been draws, and they've won 8 but lost 14. So they just need to, have that individual quality just a bit more often, because Jack Payne will create all day. Lyle Taylor, when he gets in good positions, he'll score the goals if Payne creates them for him. And Taylor's already on 5 this season. Tovide also
big strikers, good players.
Yeah, he was injured. He came back. Watching him extended highlights, it was already the main focal point for him, because he's strong, but he's also quick. And he's a really physical player. And they haven't really. The concern isn't much scoring of Colchester, because they've had the games where obviously 3-3 at Morecambe, they beat Tranmere 3-0, but then after the Tranmere game, they lost 4-0 to Walsall. And then they can get the surprise draw 1-1 against Chesterfield when they lose 2-1 at Cheltenham. So it's a bit odd at Colchester, to be honest. It is very odd, but they have Grimsby on Saturday, and Grimsby are another side that are a bit odd too. And Grimsby aren't as good at home as they are now away, which is a bit odd with Grimsby, because they only won 2 away last season. So I think it is a game that they can get 3 points from Colchester. If they got Tovide back, Tovide and Taylor are a great partnership for me. And I think they could get 3 points there, but it's just about if Cowley can just get the momentum up and start getting into work harder and just switch on more.
Yeah, agree. A bad mistake by the goalkeeper. Bradford need to improve. This squad, I don't think it's good enough to get promoted. It's as simple as that. Doncaster 1, Salford 1. Another missed opportunity at home for Doncaster. Salford, another battling point on the road. They're there or thereabouts, Salford. Very inconsistent. They're going to be a 55 to 60 point mark, aren't they? They're not a great watch. They're not consistent enough, but they regularly enough get points to be okay. The one away at Chesterfield, the one here, the one away at Fleetwood. They can nick points here or there and get the odd win at home against your Cheltenhams.
Yeah, and they've also, for me, they've got a good squad. Fawn is a good player for this level, but I've heard a few Salford fans saying he can get frustrating at times, because it's a bit like Danny Mayer, because the 2 players that know they're too good for this level, and then they don't release the pass early enough, then they just keep waiting. It stops the rhythm, and then you're just thinking, come on, offer a bit more and just release it. That second earlier, and Kawasi's goal was very good, I think, from the angle that I saw. And I think Kawasi at this level is sort of a level that's meant for him. Physical, even though he's only about 5'11", he's got a great leap on him. And I think, providing with service from Kelly Namai and, Ashley got an assist, and Ben Woodburn can drop into the pockets when he's starting up front. I think Kawasi can get a few goals in him, and I think you sum it up perfectly really with Salford. They're just going to be there or thereabouts. They're not going to be pushing for anything. They're not going to be in a relegation dogfight, because they have got that quality to stay up. And they've got Bromley at home next week. That's a game, like you said, like your Cheltenhams, that you are going to win at home. And then they have Harrogate on the Tuesday night about 2 weeks after, and they're probably going to win there. So, they're just a bit of a mixed bag, Salford.
Carlisle late point. Adua J getting a goal again, scoring a big goal against Barrow early this season. Michael Cheek's 54th-minute penalty cancelled out by another late goal conceded. Lewis Lee getting sent off, the former Preston man, 7-8 minutes from time. It's disappointment, for Bromley, who started so well, only one win now in the last 13 games. They could have gone on to 18 points, and that's where Cheltenham are in 16th. And, they could have realistically gone 7 points in front of Carlisle. Now they're only 4. So it's a big kind of result for them now. Carlisle had 70% of the play. They were a lot better. That Salford result and that Wigan performance in the Cup has helped them a little bit.
Yeah. Thing is with Bromley, we thought at the start, first 2 games, they won the 2 games, and we're thinking, Bromley are going to give it a good go this year, but it's just been a bit, it's gone a bit stale for him. And Michael Cheek, although he's scored 2 in his last 3, when he's not scoring, Bromley aren't really scoring, and they've got the odd goal from, I think, Ben Thompson in midfield, and they've got Lee as well, who's popped up this season. And because obviously they're going to be that physical side, and when Cheek's not involved, they're not the same side. And obviously he scored a penalty, and then
scored 8 goals now this season. He's massive for the hold-up play, bringing others a big experience. He never failed to score 12 goals in the season in the last 11 seasons. So he is massive for them, when he's in the
they've also
side.
got quality, because Danny Imre, I think he's been one of the best right wing backs.
Oh, don't we know about your love for that man? Christ, Ibray. Every time he got the ball, he's unreal.
If it weren't for Bromley striker not putting it away, we probably would have lost 3-0, because everything that came out of Bromley came on that right-hand side. And, it weren't really a fun watch for every time he got the ball. And, I think he'd be probably one of the top 2 wing backs I'd have at Fleetwood. He's on loan at Bromley, and just hope he doesn't get recalled from Palace and get that move up, because I certainly think he's got enough to get the move up already.
Newport 0, Grimsby 0. Another penalty miss for Newport in a 0-0 draw at home. That's 2 out of 4. They've got the most penalties in the Football League so far. Failed to convert half of them. Grimsby's first point in the Football League. When I say that, the first draw in the Football League this year as well. They've either won or drawn. Decent point away. Keeps Grimsby, around that period where they want to be. Obviously, there's a lot of teams with 2-3 games in hand, so it's very hard to judge the table, but they are probably in around that mid-table bunch when everyone catches up. Decent point for both.
Yeah. Newport, I think I would describe them like Salford. They're here or there. They're not going to be down there. They're not going to be up there. And that was actually my bottom 2.
Was it?
And, and both of them just not really doing much. And Grimsby, they've improved their away record and just getting a clean sheet. They've got 2 clean sheets on the bounce now, 3 clean sheets out of the last 4. And I think that's really improved for Grimsby. And I'm glad they're doing well, because I like Artell. He's a manager that's been through a lot, at a personal level. He's got Crewe up from this division before. And
he's a character, isn't he?
Yeah, and like Sue said,
Gab.
Yeah, he definitely is a character.
Brilliant.
But I don't think Grimsby would have got the point. Like Sue said, if Jordan Wright wasn't in goal, he got 6 saves and he got a 9.0 rating on FOTMob, really key for... He also saved a pen, which apparently wasn't a pen, because at an angle, a Grimsby player clearly won the ball, but obviously, he saved it and kept Grimsby in the game. And I had Grimsby 11th or 12th. Considering last season, they were 21st, I think, 20th. That's a massive uptake, but because it's Artel's first season, his first full season, I really like him as a manager, and the recruitment was all right. I think Grimsby will probably stay in around top half. They're currently 7th. I think Grimsby fans are in disbelief, really, that high up in the table.
Yeah,
but,
it will come down when
see.
teams play, but it's great. It's great to see. An
Yeah.
hour in, we're going to go through the League Two table quickly. I said end of middle of November. It's a bit like a Christmas tree. It's not quite acceptable to get that out yet. I think it's not acceptable for another 35 days, we'll say. I'll let you have 2 days before.
Cheers.
But yeah, I will bring the League Two table. Where can people go and find your social media as well? Just go on there, get me tables up.
Load onto Twitter. If you could give me a follow over on JK Analysis, Twitter, X, Elon Musk's page. If you go onto Twitter /X, you'll find JK Analysis 7 when you search up. And if you could give me a follow, I'll hopefully be getting more into things when obviously teams are going on more runs and the table sort of settling itself out. Not one side in the top half 1 week, then 2 weeks later they're in the bottom half. Hopefully, we get some consistency and I can get more content out on there.
It's been very hard to produce content in this part of the season. It always is, because you have a couple of weeks and there's a break, and then especially with League One and League Two stuff, League Two is obviously here or there, and I've never felt like I'm in a rhythm yet. Where I've filmed a video today, I'll be filming a couple of membership videos this week. I've still got another 3 videos to film because I'm going to kind of bulk film this week as well and try and hopefully that gets me back into a rhythm. But if you could subscribe, that'd be appreciated. We'll come to the League Two table. We'll start off with bottom. Morecambe have been cut off there. That's great. That's like my cutting skills at school when I did. Morecambe are there on 10 points. Carlisle just in front on 12 points. 33% of their points have come in the last 2 games. Swindon, Colchester, Bromley, Tranmere, Accrington just in front. It's very tight all the way up to Cheltenham, and then there's a 2-point bit of a gap. Fleetwood, a couple of games in hand, so have Tranmere as well. Anyone from those think you'll jump up? I think that there'll be a bit of a jump for Carlisle, Swindon and Colchester, because I think that those 8 draws, I say it a lot, Jack, you can either turn them into wins and you go up the table, or you turn them into defeats and Danny Kelly's out of a job. I said the same about Burton. They were to go and lose 7 in a row, and the manager got sacked.
Where are we looking up to for the table? Up to 17th
you looking
or
at
18th?
Half? You looking? Where do you think?
I probably agree with you, to be honest, because when Holloway gets the tactics sorted, I think he will sort it out at Swindon. Carlisle, they've got the quality there. I know you didn't like it last time, but I still think that Williamson is on thin ice, and I do think he needs to watch it. And then Colchester, they've also got the quality, and it's not like they're losing; they are drawing, and they've got that quality to really push up. But we've seen quality sides go down to the National League anyway, so sometimes quality don't even matter. Yeah,
I agree with that. Fleetwood Town, 21. You could say kind of, 7 or 8 points off 20 seconds, but 14 games played, 2 games in hand on Grimsby, only 4 points behind. Fleetwood win both of their games in hand. They go to 27 points.
Maybe you cut off here.
And then what? Oh, I've cut off Crewe. Brilliant. No, who I cut off? Who's 12? Barrow at 12. Oh, great. I'll work on my
Barrow and Morecambe right next to each other.
They are. Both are going to bloody beat us. Chesterfield are an interesting one. I think that they will pick up 7 draws again. You could easily highlight that. Wimbledon again won 7 games, are outside, but have got 3 games in hand, and it's not always necessary. They beat Morecambe tomorrow night, then get into that playoffs. Grimsby in the playoffs with a -6 goal difference is just mind-boggling. I
didn't even notice that.
No. Jesus Christ. Christ. And then
Who did they get battered by?
They got battered against Doncaster, didn't they?
Ah, yeah.
MK,
yeah, they conceded 3
4-1 as well.
Yeah.
And then they got beat. the MK Dons, wasn't that like 3-0 as well, 3-1 or something? Obviously, I think Notts has got defense been a lot better. If they can keep it at about 1 a game, that's a lot better than last year. Obviously, if they continue to score at that rate, those playoffs are great. If I had to ask you now for a top 7, do you want me to go first or do you want to go first for a top 7?
I'll go first.
Okay, you'll go first. Go on then.
Are we going in order of the team? Or just listing... Right,
I'll tell you what, you go first. You list your top 7 and I'll list mine.
Port Vale top of the league. MK second. Notts third.
Ooh.
Doncaster fourth.
Ooh.
All right, GNF.
It's trash. They're absolutely shaky, pathetic, spineless, walking on the pitch at Wembley.
Walsall 5th, Wimbledon 6th, and who's my last spot? If we didn't have about 17,000 centre halves injured, I probably would have put us there, but it is what it is. 7th spot. 7th spot, I'll put Crewe.
Okay. I'm going to go in 7th place, Chesterfield. In 6th place, Crewe. No, Walsall. 5th place, Crewe. 4th place, Notts. And I'm sticking with my top 3 from the start of the season. 3rd place, Doncaster Rovers. 2nd place, MK Dons. 1st place, Fleetwood Town. No, Port Vale.
Go on, you Reds.
They're the team I actually support. Sorry, Fleetwood Town. Sorry. Go the Vale. Let us know your top 7 down below. Jack, thanks for joining us. I hope you have enjoyed it. Thanks for coming on, mate.
Yeah, thank you very much. And apparently it's snowing and there's going to be snow for the next hour. Are you going outside to build a snowman? Anything like that? Have you got a carrot for the nose? A few buttons for the body? Are you going to be going out there?
You're such an idiot, you. Christ, that's the worst thing you've ever said. I've got to spend 13 hours on a bloody Swindon away. We knew in a couple of weeks. Great.
That's going to be fun.
That's going to be great. Can't wait for that. But how many quotes will Ian Holloway say? Christ. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you could give us a like and a subscription on the way out. Jack, thanks for joining us and go and give his page a follow. If you could press subscribe on your way out. Thank you again for everyone watching. Thanks to Chris for donating membership. Until next time, I'll see you later.